Dana White, head of UFC, comes out and he destroys a reporter. He didn't hold a press briefing. He held a press beating for some reporter who questioned what sort of things UFC fighters can and cannot say.
You obviously give a long leash to your fighters about, what they can say when they are up there with a UFC microphone and you are getting into territory of homophobia, transphobia. Like, is there...
I don't give anybody a leash.
Well, I'm saying you...
A leash?
Like...
Free speech. Control what people say. Going to tell people what to believe. Going to tell people... I don't tell any other human being what to say, what to think, and there's no leashes on any of them. What is your question?
I was asking that question. I'll move on, though.
Yeah, probably a good idea. That's ridiculous to say I give somebody a leash. Free speech, brother. People can say whatever they want and they can believe whatever they want.
Good answer. Though, it's a good answer. Like, he destroyed this reporter. Though, in the reporter's defense, do we really think Dana White would be totally fine with his fighters saying anything or saying anything from a UFC platform? If his fighters came out and said, we need to go and behind their parents' backs, and, he came out and he was wearing a big rainbow leotard while he said, do you think Dana White would be totally fine with that? What if, take the weird sex stuff out of it, what if a UFC fighter came out and said, we need to support ISIS, we need death to America, we need to support all of the terrorist regimes around the world, and we would be much, much better off. Forget about that even. What do you think Dana White would support it if some UFC fighter came out and he said, black people, they're the worst people in the world, we should kill them all? Yeah, absolutely. That's what I said at my UFC press conference. No, I don't think so. I think Dana White would probably have a problem with all of those things, rightly so. But Dana White doesn't need to worry about his fighters doing that because Dana White has cultivated a stable and unified culture at UFC. Everyone is broadly on the same page. They might disagree on this issue or that issue, on this thing or that thing, but they all share basic premises. They got a same basic attitude. They all work together and fight together. They all seem to get along together pretty well. That's why it works. That is why Dana White is able to afford his employees so much freedom of speech, because it's true freedom. These are very disciplined guys. If you're fighting in the UFC, you are a very disciplined person, okay? You work very hard. You know how to control yourself. You understand how to respect limits that are imposed by you on yourself. That is how American free speech worked for most of our history. The reason it broke down is because of the breakdown of the limits, ironically. It's not that we just started imposing limits all of a sudden. It's because of the breakdown of those self-imposed limits. There will be order, okay? There will be some kind of cohesion. It'll either be something cultivated and habituated from within, or it will be imposed from without with a very heavy hand. But there will be order. Nikki Haley, theoretically the last Republican other than Donald Trump in the primary, in the lead up to New Hampshire on NBC News, has played the race card.
We were the only Indian family in our small southern town. I was teased every day for being brown. So anyone that wants to question it can go back and look at what I've said on how hard it was to grow up in the deep South as a brown girl. Anybody can look at my record and see when Walter Scott was shot down by a dirty cop, how I made sure that the Walter Scott family didn't suffer because we put the first body camera bill in the country in place. Anybody can look at the fact that when we had 9 amazing souls die in Mother Emanuel Church, I did something that no Republican or Democrat ever wanted to touch, which was call for the Confederate flag to come down because it would take 2/3 of the House and Senate and was an impossible feat. I don't know what you're implying with that, but what I will tell you is saying that I had black friends is a source of pride. Saying that I had white friends is a source of pride.
You know, I really like Nikki Haley personally, and I like a lot of the candidates in this race, and all of the candidates at some point will say something that's a little hyperbolic or that I don't quite believe. And I got to tell you, I'm a little skeptical that Ambassador Haley was bullied every single day of her life as a child for being brown. And the reason I'm a little skeptical is, had she not told me, I would not know that Nikki Haley was brown. She's very light-skinned. Her parents are Indian. They're Punjabi, so that's northern India, where there are a lot of people who are very light-skinned. And I'm not even saying that no one ever made a comment about it when she was a kid. Probably someone did at some point. Maybe someone figured it out. But every day she was bullied for being brown. I'm a little skeptical. Why is Ambassador Haley saying this? I suspect she's saying this because she's doing an interview on NBC, and they're accusing her of being a racist like they do to every single Republican. And this is her natural reaction. And this is the natural reaction of many, many Republicans. Nikki Haley is far from alone in this kind of a response. But I think this kind of response is ill-advised, because what this response amounts to is accepting the leftist framing. Nikki Haley, are you racist? I'm not racist, I'm oppressed. I hear this all the time. One time I was in Washington, D.C., and the black Hebrew Israelites were on the street. They're the ones who scream out and they say, white people are the devil and they're disgusting and they're demons and they're, the ice people and whatever. They have all these crazy racial theories. And they yell mean things at women and all this stuff. And so I was standing in line at a coffee shop afterward. And there was a gal in front of me, this little white gal wearing a North Face jacket. And she goes, oh, did you hear those people out there? Oh, yeah. Could you believe they called me a white devil and an awful woman and everything? And I told them, this is crazy. I'm a woman. I'm oppressed too. And I just turned away from her when I heard that. I thought, lady, you've taken exactly the wrong lesson from this. You're trying to play a game that you will certainly lose. First of all, young, affluent white girl in a North Face in Washington, D.C., you're not oppressed, okay, at all. At all. By historical standards, you are the least oppressed human being that has ever existed, ever. We're all oppressed by sin and the fallenness of this world, but you in particular, But a lot of people think, well, look, that's just the culture right now. It's this race hustling oppression Olympics, and I've got to play it or I'll be totally cast out. So no, I'm actually oppressed somehow. There are men today. I actually remember this starting when I was in college. There are straight guys who will call themselves non-heterosexual. They'll call themselves queer. They could be dating women. They could be they've never done anything weird, never even tap danced, okay? And they'll say, I'm non-heterosexual or I'm queer, because they just need a struggle. If you're a rich, successful white guy, you need some kind of a struggle in this oppression Olympics. I just think it's going to make you lose from the beginning. If Nikki Haley wins by accepting the framing that the South is evil and white people oppress the brown people and it's, this is a systemically racist country. I'm not saying she's going to go that far, but that's what she's leaning in toward in this kind of an answer. If she does that, then even if she wins, she lost. If we as Republicans do this, then any victory will be a Pyrrhic victory, because we will only have won by embracing all of the left's premises. This is what happens when the libs, or when the conservatives rather, they tout how, we have conservative activists. You don't, listen, if you're a activist, you don't need to be with those liberals. You can vote with us. Well, not really, right? If you think a man can become a woman, then you're not really conservative at all. No, but they support low taxes too. Okay, well, life's about more than low taxes, guys. If we just embrace all of the left's fundamental points, then we just surrender. And even if we're in office, we're just kind of like zombies, just doing the bidding of the left, totally infiltrated by the left, possessing our minds. Don't do that. Not good stuff. That was a good clip, huh? That was a good clip. And you know it, and I know it, and we both know it. Well, if you want more, you got to ring the bell. And then you'll get the notifications, and you'll see more of this face and hear my mellifluous tones, and we'll get to spend some time together. All right? See you next time.